Finally, some news from a big league, the Swedish league. Normally, when I make that joke, actually, it's usually about a league much smaller than this, so I don't mean to insult the size of the Swedish league. It could accidentally have some sort of a reverse impact here. But the Swedish league in general has a ridiculous story brewing. Now, if you are a deep ball knowledge knower, you shut the fuck up, please. I'm busy. Thank you. If you're a deep ball knowledge knower, you'll know a few of the teams. Obviously, in the Swedish team or Swedish league, you've got Garden, you've got Malmo, you've got Ike, you've got Hammarby, right? Even at BK Häcken, they make their appearances in Europe pretty regularly, at least recently. You don't recognize the team at the top, Mjällby. I don't know if I mean, I probably heard the name before, but they don't really play in Europe. But when you're from a league like the Swedish league, if you're not in Europe at all, it's not a name that you're probably overly familiar with. And there's a good reason for that. Mjällby less than 10 years ago played a match that if they had not won, they would have been relegated to the 4th tier of Sweden. Less than 10 years ago. And now they are sitting 8 points clear with 6 matches left to play. Apparently, you only play you play 30 matches, you play every team twice. So shout out to math. You play 30 matches. They got 6 matches left with an 8-point advantage. Most impressively, however, they've only given up they've given up 1 loss the entire season. Mjällby has only lost 1 match the entire year. But I am leaving out the most impressive part of the story of Mjällby, as it were. Mjällby is from a town of 800 people. It has never won a major Swedish trophy. This is not a club that back in the day, even though it was founded right before World War II, which, nice timing, even though back in the day, they could have been good. No. They have always been like a regional, lower league type team, very rarely making appearances in the top flight, from a town of 800 people. And all of a sudden, in the last 10 years, they have become a team that could go on and win the league. The most points, by the way, that this club has ever gotten in the top flight was last year when they just barely got the 50. They have already gone past that with 6 matches left to play. And this is not, and I give a lot of credit to Leicester, right? I'm just establishing all the ridiculousness of what's happening here. This is not one of those seasons where all the other teams are dramatically underperforming. Mjällby, obviously, assuming, let's say, they win 4 of their last 6 matches, right? That'd be 12 more points. That would get them up to 69, which nice. 2 draws would get them to 71, right? Maybe they lose one of those 2 matches. Maybe they only get to 69 or 70 points instead. But based off the way they've played so far, that's a pretty safe assumption. That would be more points than the champions Malmo last year. More points than the champions Malmo from the year before. That would be more points than BK Häcken. That would be more points than Malmo, who won the league with just 59 points in 2021. That's in the same number of matches. Mjällby's 2 points away from that with 6 matches left to play. This isn't, like I was saying, the Leicester situation, where they got a lot of points, obviously, but they also happen to be doing it in a year where a lot of the other teams were seriously underperforming what they would normally get to. Right, you didn't have your 90-point Liverpool or Manchester City that Leicester City had to deal with. Mjällby doesn't matter. Hammarby is on pace, if Hammarby is able to win 5 of its last 6 matches, to basically get to where the champions' points were last year. They're pushing Mjällby. Mjällby's just fucking better. They are just better. They have only allowed 17 goals in 24 matches. It's not like they're not scoring. They have the 2nd most goals in the entire league, too. As a result, they are not only top of the league, they're not shithousing it, they have the best goal difference. So how the hell does this happen? Right? How the hell is Mjällby doing this? And more importantly, hell yeah, man. This is just the type of thing that makes people like me, ball knowledge, like deep ball knowledge, aspiring deep ball knowledge people that love paying attention to the different parts of the game. You just look at this and you just go, hell yeah, man. Do it. Do it. For the next 6 matches, I will be the biggest Mjällby fan ever. I mean, this is a town of 800 people with a stadium of 6,000 on some little peninsula in southeast Sweden. It's like far away from everything. that has a chance to just win the National League of Sweden. They had a chance to launch themselves into a position where they will be basically guaranteed a spot in a European group stage next year. Unthinkable, unfathomable. Even a year ago, when you're looking at the table itself and you see Mjolby checking in at 5th, where you're thinking, oh, maybe they just hit their high water mark, right? They got so close. Maybe. But you get first. I mean, yeah, you'll go into Champions League qualifying and they'll have a chance to get through that. But even if you lose, you're bouncing down to Europa League or Conference League. I don't know what round Sweden comes in at, but it's one of the two. You're in. And I'm going to say this right now. You're going to love this club's story. There's nothing weird or rotten or like oil money about it. It has been done so spectacularly well. As somebody that plays Football Manager, I'm almost envious. And it comes in part from the chairman, Magnus Emmius. He said, if we would be able to win the league, I cannot imagine anything that has been close to this achievement. The size of the club, our conditions, our financial muscle, to 1 year beat all the others, I think no one has been near this. No one's been near this. It's a fairy tale, says the director, Jakob Linnertson. We get the question a lot now, how are you doing this? It's important to say we haven't just done this from this year. We've been working for so many years. It's a project basically that they've put in place for a long time. And there's a mantra that they've got, make the impossible possible. And let me tell you, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it, right? This is from the AP article. They actually did some of these interviews, so shout out to them. A big turning point came in 2015 with the arrival of Emmius, the guy that is basically the chairman of the club. A locally born businessman who moved around and then came back, obviously. The team was in the second tier at the time that he took over. They talk about, the same old bullshit, strategic plans, ambitious targets, all this stuff. But this is the part. I'd never heard this before, and I absolutely love it. And I'm basically going to steal it and kind of add it to my life. Another mantra I talk about, we need to be the best on the things which are free. We need to be the best on things which are free. What a club mantra that is. Because their turnover, by the way, is $9 million. Like the equivalent of $9 million US dollars. This is an eighth of what Malmö's turnover is, for example. Right? The biggest teams in Sweden that they're going to be competing against have 8 times the money. We need to be the best at the things that are free. What's he mean by that? We can have a better team spirit than Real Madrid. We can prepare better for a game than Manchester United. Team spirit, belief, preparation, things that don't cost money, that you are able to, be the best at the things that are free. It's such a sick line. It's so good. And it really embodies what you have to go after when you're a club of, by the way, a lot of homegrown players. A lot of players that have been developed at Mjolby, they have adopted, it talks about it in this article, they've adopted this philosophy of, developing younger players, selling them for profit, kind of growing the team from within. You can't go out. I mean, they don't have the resources to go out and get players that are proven to be able to compete at this level. You have to develop them. And they have to become determined to develop them. They got back-to-back promotions in 2018 and 2019 after getting, down to the 3rd division, nearly to the 4th. And for the last 5 years, they've been playing in the top flight of Sweden. But they needed something else to push them over the top, and apparently it's been their coach, who is also a school principal, just throwing that out there. The unlikely rise to being title contenders came in the last 2 years under Anders Torstensson, a former youth team player who spent time in the military before returning to the area, becoming a teacher, and occasionally helping out as the club's short-term coach. Torstensson was hired for the 3rd time in 2023 and was joined by this guy, who has a PhD in visual perception and elite football. I don't even know how you get a PhD in that. Carl Marius Axum. So nice. Mjolby's leadership noticed that Axum, a Norwegian, posted his tactical beliefs and principles to a large following on social media and felt he was the coach to help change a team known for being defensively minded into one playing a more expansive game. In their first season, under Torstensson, this principal, and under Carl Marius Axum as his assistant coach, they had 51% average possession, which was a huge uptick from this team that basically was rigid and tactically disciplined. And that was the season they got 50 points. And now they are where they are. And I said they could get a lot of points? This paragraph shows you just how ridiculous it is what Mjolby's doing. The team's 57 points is a record at this stage of the season. Not for them, for everyone. No team in Sweden has ever had 57 points after 24 games. Malmö's record for the most points in a season ever in Sweden is 67. That means that if they win 4 of their last 6 matches, no matter what else happens, they break the record on the run to get their first league title. The points record for the entire league. I'm telling you, broheems, this does not happen. New clubs that emerge and win the league for the first time do not break the points record for the league when they do it. Teams from Mjölby, which, by the way, I looked it up on Google Maps. It's over here. It's in some weird area of Sweden that's between the huge metropolitan areas of Malmö, which is like paired up with obviously Copenhagen down here, Gothenburg, and then Stockholm's up here. This is kind of, this area is like the no man's land, farming land, fishing area. They talk about it in this article, like teams have to drive forever to get to the matches to come play them in the first place. Teams from this area don't win the league. Teams from this area certainly don't break the points record in their first potential league winning season. Now, of course, there's a lot left to go in this season. It's possible that it could all fall apart. Axel's very aware of that, right? He says Mjölby's still far off winning the league. There's a whole 6 matches left for them to play. But he also, Lennartson, the coach, said, we're not here because of luck. We have belief. We have good players, and I think we're humble and have our own identity. That's a great strength. Yeah, clearly whatever you're doing is working, because we might be looking at the best team in the history of the Swedish league from a town of 800 people who plays in this stadium, which is really beautiful. I mean, that's a pretty... They might need to add a few more seats, though, because they're about to have a few more fans.